I'm going to entitle this From the Heart, What I See Coming. So I usually don't like to do this because I don't like to think off the top of my head, but every time I do, I get more compliments on that program than all of the others, usually all of the others combined. So here's how this came up. We had a meeting after church with the men of the church, and the meeting didn't last long. And so I just started talking off the top of my head. And I started to call this balls in the air because that's kind of what I was talking about. And I said, I can't guarantee that this is the year that we're going to see a lot of things happening. But I just want to point out some balls in the air. In other words, some prophecies that have come our way that could come to pass, but I can't guarantee it. And the reason I say this is because, I'm in a unique position with studying prophecy 40 years, memorizing book of Revelation, thousands, I don't even know how many, thousands of meetings on Bible prophecy, 73 crusades, 4 books on Bible prophecy. And, doing a daily 30-minute program of Bible prophecy puts me in a unique position to see things that obviously the average person just can't see because they don't have that much information. So today in the program, I'm going to, without any notes, have absolutely no notes. I'm just going to talk to you. I'm going to talk to you like I talk to, there's only 2 or 3 people in my life I will call and talk to like this. And I'm about to talk to you like that. And I'm going to start with the most questionable, the most controversial thing I could possibly bring to you. Matter of fact, I try to repeat a program or an interview, a phone call. There we go, get it right. A phone call I made to a very close friend of mine. I think it was Thursday or Friday afternoon. I called him and I said, I have something to tell you. Of course, everything goes quiet because I don't call too often and say I have some inside information, but I'm going to give you some, maybe I should even call it inside information. So I'm going to start with the most controversial thing. So I have about 53 Postit notes all over up here, okay? Things that I might want to recall from time to time in an instant, maybe doing a program. One of them is right there. Out of the 53 notes, last Tuesday, I believe it was, my attention was called to that note right there. It's written on a Postit note. It's orange with blue writing. Here's what it says on the Postit note. There's 3 lines to it. I'm only going to read the first 2 because the third one has a guy's name on it I should not release. And it says, July 7, 2025, finally, comma, oil in Israel. Now, the story was this guy sent me an email. I looked it up, 12/12 of 2023. And he says, I've been listening to your program for many years. He said, but I had a dream that I went to watch today's program, and the name of it was Finally, comma, Oil in Israel. And it was dated 7/7/25. Well, I didn't like that at the time. I wanted to hear that we'd get the money for oil in Israel a lot faster than 7/7/25. But I wrote it down on a Post-it note, stuck it up there. It's still up there. I haven't touched it. Now, what does that mean? I want it to mean that by 7/7/25, we get the money to go drill the well in Israel. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then I'm sorry. I don't have time to go back, and that's good grief. I've made like 3 DVDs talking about our vision to find oil in Israel. But what I want it to say is yes, that by 7/7/25, as in I don't know what 6-8 weeks, the money comes through for us to go to Israel and drill for oil. Now, why does that make sense? That's the big question. So here's what I told our men's meeting. Here's what I told a couple of other very, very close friends. I said, so I can't guarantee these things are about to happen this year. I think they are. But the problem is that I thought they were going to happen last year. And I thought they were going to happen the year before, and the year before, and the year before. So I have absolutely no credibility on when these things are going to come. I'm just saying that right up front. But I think they are, and here's why I think they are. So, the counting of the Omer ends June 1st. Leslie was told Omer ushers in Palestinian state. She was told that 2006. Excuse me, that was 2002. So in 23 years, the only thing that Leslie and I have been able to come up with that is talking about is the counting of the Omer, which is 49 days between first fruits and Passover. This year, those dates are April 13 to June 1. Meaning, if Omer ushers in Palestinian state is going to be a newspaper headline in some newspaper on the globe this year, it would need to happen on or before June 1st. Okay, well, let's talk about that. So, are we even close to seeing some kind of a peace deal in Israel? Because not just Saudi Arabia, but Egypt and I guess most of the rest of the world wants to see the peace come to Israel by splitting Israel, giving the Palestinians a state. Well, I watched a program Saturday. I just stumbled across it, and it was talking about Israel. And it's saying that Israel is very excited because they say this is the first time that the Hamas, the people that run Gaza, the first time they have ever conceded to so many requests. They said, if you will give us, and by the way, I have not seen this in any news. I only saw it on, I think it was a Saturday program. If you will give us these four things, if you'll give us 5 years of peace, 5 years of no more bullets, this is what Hamas is asking, then we will agree to release all hostages. We will agree to lay down our weapons, agree to allow Israel to militarily watch over us, and we will have no more military. Now, that's off the top of my head, but I think that's correct. And I have not seen that anyplace else. And I looked up several sites this morning, I have not been able to find it. Okay, so what does that mean? It means that we could be close to actually seeing some kind of a conclusion to the Hamas-Israel war. And if it happens this year, and if Omer ushers in Palestinian state is talking about the 49 days of the counting of the Omer, then that would be a very high probability. But there is one other possibility. On the day that Leslie got that dream, the current prime minister was like he had some kind of a stroke or something, which never did recover. But then Ehud Omer took over. And you spell his name Ohlmert, but you pronounce it Omer. See, Leslie only heard the audible voice of God speak, Omer ushers in Palestinian state. She did not see whether it's spelled Omer or if it's Ohlmert, I believe it is. In other words, she didn't see the spelling. So we cannot guarantee that it's Omer or is it Omer, because in Israel they're pronounced the same. Okay, now let's go on to the next ball in the air. Okay, so we're seeing what Dana Coverstone and also Brandon Biggs saw, that Brandon was told that China is going to simply stop shipping at all. I looked on hellturnradioshow.com this morning, and they're showing pictures of the LA dock that is normally packed with containers empty. In other words, he's saying within 2 weeks, we will see shortages, not just food, all kinds of shortages. It will happen, and there is no way that they can turn it around at this point. Even if United States and China were to kiss and make up immediately, we will see shortages. Okay, now what does that mean? Well, we also saw last week that China has announced it's going to be selling $2 billion worth of bonds. That's our debt. So you might say that we are standing on no kind of gold backing with our dollar, and China is pulling the financial rug out from under us, meaning the dollar has already been falling over the last year, if you look it up. But it could start crashing. What does the prophecy say? The prophecies say it goes down a third to zero. And then Brandon Biggs said he saw all of the shipping from China stop. Dana Coverstone saw the Baltic Dry Index is dead, meaning nothing, no ships, no container ships at all was on the sea any place on the globe. Everybody stopped shipping. Well, now, it could be that this whole tariff thing is going to explode, and all of a sudden, everybody just says, we're just going to keep our stuff. You know, are we at that door? Could we see that? Oh, no, that could. Well, yes, it could happen. Okay, another thing let's look at, and that is the Ukraine-Russia thing. It is my opinion that Ukraine and Russia are both bad guys. I think Russia is not as bad. Let me rephrase it. I think Ukraine is much worse than Russia. But I suspect, can't prove, I suspect that their plan is to get America's military might to come down by sending all of the weapons, or most of the weapons, over to Ukraine. Then when we have very few weapons, then we back up Ukraine, sending money, sending weapons, and finally sending boots. And at what time when we send boots, something happens. Russia says, there you go, you guys attacked us, and takes us out in 1 hour. That could be it, and it may still be following this way. We're praying that Russia and Ukraine, they kiss and make up, and get past this. But right now, Trump says that it's very, very close, but Ukraine says, first of all, there's a few red lines. One is we're not giving up an inch of territory. We're not giving up Crimea. We're not going to give up our nuclear weapons that don't have anything. Also, they're not cooperating in any way. Now, that was before he talked to Trump at the Pope funeral. So we don't have all the information. Trump says it's close. Other sources say, no, it is not close at all. Meaning that if we can see peace in Ukraine, if we can see peace in Israel, that's very good. But I'm not convinced it's going to happen. I'm not convinced that we're there yet. Okay, so back to the dollar. We were told by Shane Warren that the dollar would start falling when when oil is sold as another currency. That started June 9th of 2024. We were expecting the dollar to start falling fairly quickly after that. And it has gone down, but nothing like a crash, not like a one-third, zero thing. Okay, so what's going on? Well, could it be that it's not time yet? Or could it be that these tariffs are going to do it? I don't know. But like the old saying that says, if it's not broken, don't fix it. How can we have that new financial system that I've heard about? How can we have that new financial system come in when the old dollar is working just fine? That's another thing. We've been praying that Trump and Putin would become friends, and the Russians and the American negotiating team would become friends, and that Trump would drop all of the sanctions against Russia and help Russia to start trading in the dollar very, very easily. Not only that, but Russia has offered to start selling America all of the rare earth minerals that they need, that the Chinese have cut us off from. And I would like to see us kiss and make up with Russia, become real good friends with Russia, help Russia, and not more sanctions. Don't put pressure on Russia. Instead, try to make friends with them. Why? Because they are ruthless people, and they have hypersonic missiles. They can take America out any time they want to. Not only that, but we sent our military equipment over to Ukraine, handed it over to the Ukrainians. They didn't know how to run the advanced equipment. They didn't know how to fly our planes. And so what they do? A lot of it, they turned it over openly, which I suspect really happened, or at least Russia captured it. Now, Russia's not stupid. They're pretty smart. And they got our equipment, and I believe that they have reverse engineered it, and they have ways to shut down every part of our military, at least every part that they possibly can. My guess is a whole lot of it. Meaning, like Dmitry said, he saw in a vision that the American planes will go up, try to attack the Russian planes that are flying over America, and they would just fall back to the ground in a blaze of fire. In other words, whatever America throws at Russia, they have probably reverse engineered and have a remedy to destroy it. So, I mean, I think we're in lots and lots of trouble. And then we can start talking about the 20 million people that Biden let in, which, if you look at Jeremiah, it says, I will fill her with men as with caterpillars. So it's really, this is all the hand of God. How close are we to the internal revolution? Sad to say, I think we could be pretty close. Remember, the fall of America will start with an internal revolution in America, started by the communists. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. The government will be busy with internal problems. Then from the oceans, Russia attacks. Now, for many years, I've been carrying that message now for 38 years. 38 years. I've been watching for it. And it still hadn't arrived, and I'm happy with that. But I've always thought, I don't see it. I don't see it. How can the internal revolution start? Well, now I see it. So I'm going to rephrase that. Here's the way I see it now. The fall of America will start with an internal revolution started by the communists. Some of the people will start fighting against the Trump administration. They will overcome the Trump administration. The Trump administration will be busy with internal problems. And then when they're busy, got their head turned, then Russia takes them out in 1 hour. Why? Okay, so look. I mean, they were singing on the White House steps yesterday. I might add, it sounded pretty bad. You know, they don't know any hymns. They don't know any praise and worship songs like the Christians do. You get the Christians up there. Christians know songs that they can sing to their God. But these sinners, they don't have any. So they're wailing. They sound like a pig got under a gate, my opinion. But anyway, they're up there wailing, and they're unhappy. In other words, the devil's crowd is furious, like probably they've never been furious, not just our lifetime, but probably since our nation has been a nation. Donald Trump, and see, like Leslie said last night, she says, it doesn't make any difference whether Trump does something good or Trump does something bad. They're against Trump. Why? Because Trump represents Christianity. He is the best picture they have of something that is Christian. And so they're simply fighting against Trump because he is their punching bag for Jesus. Trump is the punching bag for Jesus. He's the punching bag for Christians. So whenever they want to attack Jesus or Christianity or the Bible, they do so by attacking Trump. They always attack Trump. And like U.B. Ready had in his The Show Has Begun vision, where he says he saw their parrots. And that's true. They just repeat what CNN, ABC, CBS, NBC, they just repeat what it said. Well, Trump's racist. Well, what makes you think he's racist? Well, blah, 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 blah. They don't know. It's like they're just an empty head. They don't really know what they believe. They're just evil. And here's another thing. The evil side can't spot, my opinion, lies. They can't spot them. They don't see lies because their life is a lie. They live on lies. People around them, their friends, lie to them. So lies are not even seen. Lies are accepted. Whereas the only ones that see the lies are the Christians. We're the only ones that see it. So it was fine when most of our nation was Christians, but now the largest majority of people are not Christians. And fortunately, we were able to get the Christians to get out and vote. This time we got Donald Trump, a lot of the good guys in. Now, let me go back to what I see. I can see very possibly Omar ushers in Palestinian state. If that happens, shortly after that, I don't know how long, might be a couple of hours, might be a couple of days, or a couple of weeks. I hope it's a couple of years, but I'm afraid it's more like a couple of days to a couple of weeks. After that, the Great Lakes open up all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. And that's remember, I told you many, many times, August 8, 2015, Saturday night, Lord, what do you want me to say for the sermon tomorrow morning? And I heard words. It said, this is the time of miracles. As the judgment hits, so will my miracles. Miracles like no one has seen, going back to Adam and Eve. You tell them, I will never leave them nor forsake them. I'm going to meet the devil inch for inch, step for step, pound for pound. Everything he does, I'm going to meet him. So we could very well see, I don't even want to say it, but we could very well see Trump twist the arm of the Israelis, make them give the Palestinians a state, and then shortly after that, all of a sudden the Great Lakes open up all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. The East Coast is devastated. Likewise, the West Coast, chunks of it fall into the ocean all the way up into Alaska. And America is devastated. I'd like to say that's not coming. We're certainly praying against it. But then there's another thing. Let's go back to the fall of the dollar. So the fall of the dollar begins when they start selling oil and other currency. That's going. What else? Shane Warren also saw that when this happened, there was an earthquake in the middle of the country. Well, that fits, doesn't it? And then you go to Jason Meeks. Jason Meeks said the first thing he saw was a change in the ATM. Means our financial system changed. If it's not broken, don't fix it. So they have to wait till the old SWIFT system, the system we've been under for, I don't know, since World War II, collapses, which is not very far off. Okay, so the SWIFT system collapses, and then they have to bring in a new system. So could it be that all of a sudden we see the dollar start falling? I mean, China's now announced that they're selling $2 billion in bonds. That's our debt. That alone could crash the dollar. But then there's a big earthquake. That could be the judgment. Let's go back to Jason Meeks. So he saw, first of all, that the dollar changed. He got $20 out of the ATM and then put it right back in, and the front financial system changed. The next thing he saw was there was rejoicing in the streets. We have not seen rejoicing in the streets. Even though Trump was inaugurated, everything, we see more rejoicing in the streets for the Super Bowl or for the baseball teams. We haven't seen rejoicing in the streets over Trump. Could it be that, and he also saw that there were massive arrests. My guess is that happens when the massive arrests start. Well, when are they coming? Well, I'd like to be able to tell you, but I can tell you that most people are saying, we got to do something about these activist judges. So it may be that some activist judge comes out with something. Finally, Trump says, all right, that's the last straw. That's all I'm taking. Start the arrest. And I'm not talking about illegal aliens. You think that's bad. See, those are all civil arrests, ICE, FBI, things like that. That's civil. We're not talking about civil arrest. When the massive arrest, and I heard the words, massive arrests, massive arrests. So I think I have a thus saith the Lord that massive arrests are coming. So all of a sudden, massive arrests start, and then the suitcase nukes hit. Again, I heard medical, which is telling us we need to get prepared because a whole lot of our brothers and sisters, a lot of good Christians are about to be hit with, you know what nuclear really is? It's really fire. Yes, it's an explosion, but it's more than that, it's fire. I mean, 200-mile-an-hour wind blows over everything. If you're looking at it, your eyes are fried, you're blind for the rest of your life. I mean, it's devastating. Could we start seeing that? Absolutely. Could it come the first half of this year? Absolutely. Stan, when's it going to come? I've asked God that so many times. He's probably about ready to say, Stan, will you just shut up and quit asking me? He won't tell me. So I'm sitting here guessing. I have no notes. Off the top of my head, I'm doing the best to try to tell you what's in my heart. And what's in my heart are things that are the prophecies. I'm trying to put it all together. So let me back up. Could we see the dollar fall? Absolutely. Could we see suitcase nukes? Absolutely. Could we see massive arrests? Absolutely. Could we see the Great Lakes open up all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico and the East Coast, West Coast basically disappear? Absolutely. Could we see all of that this year? Yes, absolutely. Again, I thought we were going to start seeing some of this last year, and we didn't. And it maybe doesn't come this year. We're praying it doesn't come this year. But it may come this year, and that's my point. Now, what do we do about it? Okay, so if you go to HalTurnerRadioShow.com right now, it says that the whole port system in Los Angeles is empty. No containers. And he says there's no more question about whether shortages are going to come. And it's not just going to be food, although food's going to be the worst one. So if you have not already made plans Ask yourself this: if I could not leave my home for, it needs to be an extended period. I mean, not just 3 months. It ought to be longer than that, but at least 2 or 3 months, because this whole thing, if you think it's going to blow over in a couple of weeks, you're very, very positive. Maybe maybe even foolish. But I think that you should ask yourself this: the three threes. You can only survive 3 minutes with that air. Do you have an N95 mask that can filter the radiation or the whatever out of the air that might be there? Okay. 2, the next one is food. Water. Can't go more than about 3 days without water. Do you have water? And do you have a water filter that can filter water should your store of water run out and you find you're having to dip something up out of some mud puddle or something? 3, and that is food. A person can typically only go about 30 days, typically, some longer, of course, 30 days without food. And that's where I think you should go to josephkitchen.com, Joseph's with an S, josephskitchen.com. Get yourself some food. They tell me that they're already having shortages. There's several things that I can't remember which one it was, but they're telling me that they're out of several things. So hopefully you've already gone there. Next thing is gold and silver. Yeah, if you got a 401k, you got a 501k, a 601k, you got a whatever. If your money's in paper, I think you should owe it yourself to call 800-200-GOLD and just say, okay, here's my situation. Am I okay? And if they can't shoot holes in it, fine. If they have a better selection, better suggestion, better idea, perhaps you go with that. Anyway, I also think that you should have somebody put some silver coins in our offering. So I have some silver coins. There you go. I think you ought to have at least a handful of silver coins and at least a handful of gold coins. Why? These are what you barter to get yourself some bread, some food, water. And then a gold coin is what you pull out to save your life. Maybe it's an air flight to another nation. I don't know what it is, but I'm only saying, start praying, start saying, Lord, what do I need to do? You're the only one that knows what's coming in my life. You tell me, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? Number 1, ask Jesus to forgive your sins. Jesus, be my God. Jesus, forgive my sins. Simplest prayer I know. Jesus, be my God. Jesus, forgive my sins. 8 words that can change your life.